Our first TEDx talk this evening, we have Delia Crimu, who has recently been appointed the head of the junior leadership team. She's enjoyed debating very much over the past 4 years. She started her own philosophy club where they discuss and dispute such topics as, does nostalgia benefit us? Not only that, but she has participated in Crown Court mock trials as a lawyer, and where she's argued and questioned 2 separate cases. She's a passionate and enthusiastic individual who puts 100% effort into whatever she does. Tonight, Delia will be talking about the price of fitting in and what dangers conformity can lead to. Over to you.
Good evening. In today's society, there's a pandemic where people are taught to think the same, act the same, and neglect their own uniqueness. And it's called conformity. To conform is to go along with the crowd, mimic what you see, copy what's done, and avoid challenging anything outside of it. But, you see, you might not think that just submitting to the fluctuating standards isn't dangerous, yet it erases rational thinking, desensitizes and marginalizes the minority's viewpoint, creating an ignorant and monotone population. At one point, you don't think for yourself, but are influenced by the majority. There was a recent study called the Smoky Room Experiment, where participants were asked to sit in a room and complete a questionnaire. However, what they didn't know was that harmless smoke would soon begin to fill the room. Some participants were alone, others with additional participants, and some were with passive confederates, who deliberately ignored the smoke. These results revealed how our instincts to conform run within us. When participants were alone, 75% of them reported the smoke. That's 75% of people had the courage to stand up, to speak up for themselves, and the courage that we all need. However, when participants were with other ordinary people, that number dropped to 38%. Even more strikingly, when participants were with confederates who pretended that nothing was wrong, that number dropped to 10%. So why is this? Why do we conform even when it contradicts our own clear perceptions of danger and urgency? Does our fear of standing out run so deep that we would rather risk our health or even our lives than be the one to disrupt the group? This makes us confront an uncomfortable question. Are we really more afraid of social rejection than we are of genuine harm? Additionally, I would like to introduce you to Bonhoeffer's theory of stupidity. Yes, I know how that sounds, but he wasn't calling people stupid, and he wasn't talking about intelligence either. Instead, he saw stupidity as a sort of moral blindness, a refusal to think critically or question what is going on. In World War II, he concluded that the greatest danger to society wasn't malice, but ineptitude. Let's go back to the early 1940s in Nazi Germany, where the vast population was brainwashed by Hitler, who made everyone else seem like an enemy. Many conformed to the Aryan supremacy ideology. But why? Out of fear, desire to belong, because everyone else was doing it? Conformity is to choose the white sheep. Choosing the white sheep is to choose the safety net, the very safety net that corrupts your own authenticity. Because let's be honest, it is easier to blend into the crowd, mimic what you see, copy what's done, and avoid challenging anything outside of it. Herd mentality is seductive. It promises acceptance, gives you the warm illusion of belonging, and you move as they move, think as they think, never daring to question where the herd is actually headed. For there's a hidden price of fitting in. You pay slowly with your own integrity, your individuality shaved down bit by bit until you can barely recognize yourself. The herd doesn't care about your principles, it only demands your compliance. And if you dare to show signs of independent thought, you risk exile, ridicule, or even worse, the crushing weight of collective disapproval. So yes, it's risky being the black sheep. To walk alone rather than follow blindly. It means carrying the burden of your own conscience. Standing firm, it would be easier to bow. It means accepting discomfort, misunderstanding, and sometimes profound loneliness. But it also means living in the truth, unfiltered, unborrowed, and unmistakably yours. In the end, the question becomes painfully simple. Would you rather be rejected for who you are not? No, rejected for who you are, or accepted for who you are not? Because the comfort of the crowd is fleeting, but the cost of betraying yourself is a debt that lasts a whole lifetime. And perhaps the cruelest cost of them all is the hollow ache of emotional disconnection. Because when you spend your days laughing on cue, nodding along, people may accept you, but it's not really you they're accepting. is the carefully crafted version of yourself you've maintained to keep their approval. So even in a crowded room, you feel alone. Deep down you think, if they knew the real me, would they care? If they knew the real me, would they still stay? And that quiet doubt becomes a shadow over every embrace, every handshake, every smile. You sacrifice a true belonging for mere acceptance. And in the silence of your own heart, you question. You think that it's a devastatingly lonely field. There was once a time when I was a victim of this very social influence. I had just started secondary school, and I was alone. None of my friends came to Goldington Academy. I'm unsure why though. It's a great school. But nevertheless, it was a fresh start. It was a starting point, some might say. Finally, in the end, I made friends with this one girl. She was quiet and pretty and a bit quirky, but most importantly, she was friendly. She knew everyone and everyone knew her. I remember that I wanted to be her friend so bad. And I think the reason that we clicked was because I pretended. I pretended to like the same thing that she did, listen to the same things that she did, and watch the same things as she did. She became friends with a made-up version of me. She went to the debate club, so did I. She listened to K-pop, so did I. She watched dramas, so did I. Everything of me was also hers. But in year 7, I betrayed myself. Traded my likings, put them aside, just to make myself seem like a perfect match, scared of the idea that she might leave. At one point, it became suffocating, having to pretend to liking something, keeping up on what is new, and something that didn't interest me. But slowly, I came out of the shell. I started to talk about my interests, and whilst she didn't particularly enjoy anything I said, she listened. Something more powerful than words, a simple nod whilst I was talking. And that's when it hit me. That's where it hit me. I was holding on to my dear friend so hard that I let myself go. So yeah, it wasn't me that she was accepting, but the false illusion of who I thought she wanted me to be. And in the end, after 3 long years of friendship, I realized that she only wanted someone else to talk to. No matter the knowledge on the newest series airing on Netflix next week, or what band is coming out with what song, just a true, genuine, kind friend. And must I say now that we're the closest of friends, and I like anything that she likes. Conformity leads to corrupting and changing yourself. While yes, it did give me a lifelong friend, it took away my individuality, stripped me down, gave me new attire, and told me how to act, forgetting anything about my prior self. When we become too eager to conform, we can also become really vulnerable to manipulating. It happens in the workplace, where employees are subtly pressured to accept unethical practices because that's just how things are done here. It happens in friend groups, where cruelty is disguised as banter. And staying silent means belonging. But why should we put up with this? Why not be the black sheep? We follow the crowd because it's safer than questioning where it's going. And as Bonhoeffer warned us in his theory of stupidity, it's not always malice that leads society astray, but a thoughtless, contagious stupidity that flourishes when people abandon their critical minds. But here's the thing, we don't have to surrender this. The antidote is as simple as it's challenging. To dare to think for ourselves, to stand strong in our beliefs, and to nurture the kind of courage that chooses truth over popularity. Because in the end, the real tragedy isn't being the black sheep. It's realizing too late that you traded your soul to fit into a herd that doesn't see you for you. Let's all together embrace our individualism and praise the fact that we don't all need to be clones of each other. Instead of neglecting our own uniqueness, we should be proud and celebrating our differences. This gift of life shouldn't be wasted on the stress of fitting in. But instead, what we can all do to savor this present is to stand up for our beliefs. If you're working in a team and have an idea worth mentioning, make yourself heard. If others cannot help but gossip, don't feel the need to gossip as well, just to be seen. So I urge you, question the herd, guard yourself from this pandemic, and hold the courage to be authentically, unapologetically you. Because that's the price worth paying.
Thank you, Delia, and what a fantastic start there with that thought-provoking piece. So really well done, that was fantastic.